Welcome to Let's Optimize Your LinkedIn, an event we've prepared from the Reading Entrepreneurship Society. For today, we have the guest speaker, Kate. She'll give us recommendations on optimizing our profile, as well as opportunities offered by LinkedIn themselves and how to take advantage of them, which I'm sure we could all use. It's always useful for us. And Kate is actually here right now, which is amazing. Let me introduce her. So she's the Marketing Communications Officer for Henley Business Angels. She's an MA in Public Policy, and her favorite inspirational quote for most of history, "Anonymous was a woman," which I find very fascinating and would like to know more about.
Hi guys, thank you so much for having me here. My name's Kate. I've had a year or so's experience in professional social media account management and communications. I also worked in the campaigns and communications team for an international charity a couple of years ago. And I'm currently the marketing and communications officer for Henley Business Angels, which is definitely an organisation that you guys should bear in mind, especially as budding entrepreneurs. We're an investor network embedded inside the University of Reading and Henley Business School. And think of Dragon's Den, and that is essentially what we are. We're a network of investors, but we only invest in entrepreneurs and companies that come from people that have either a link to Henley Business School or a link to the University of Reading. So it really narrows down the competition pool, and it means that we're investing in previous alumni, staff, students, anything like that. So when you have a business that you need investment in, definitely come to us first. They're a great bunch of people. We also have a LinkedIn account, so you can follow all of our news, and we're also on Twitter. So yeah, that's my current role. And Burek just asked me to kind of help you guys out and show you what some cool stuff that's happening on LinkedIn is, so that you can get the most out of the social media. So yeah, so let's start. So if we could. Yep, so that's basically about myself. So another thing is that during my time, both as a research assistant for an academic and as my time in the campaigns and communications team, I worked on 2 big research projects that involved utilising LinkedIn to find people. So I'm quite well adapted to learning and adapting LinkedIn's algorithm to suit what I need. So yeah, if we can just go to the next slide. Like Chris Whitty. Next slide, please. So today's presentation is going to be split into 2 sections. So I'm going to start off from the basics. I'm going to act on the assumption that maybe you either don't have a LinkedIn profile or you have a LinkedIn profile and you want to completely renew it. So I'm really sorry if in the first section I'm saying things that you already know about. Just bear with me. I want to help as many people as possible. And then we'll move on to the opportunities offered by LinkedIn and how best to take advantage of them to utilise your profile. Next slide, please. Okay, so the first question was like, if anyone can tell me, like, what do you guys use LinkedIn for? What do you post? What do you do on it right now? Open to anyone to answer.
I can start us off if you guys would like. I use it because I'm currently applying to a master's degree. I'm trying to show what I can about myself. So for the society, I've written an article, so I've shared that on LinkedIn just to show that I'm engaged in the society, I have writing skills and such. That's just one example. Does anyone else want to give an example?
I'm seeing lots of networking in the chat and finding jobs as well. Yeah, that's a big thing. Does anyone use it to like promote what they're doing at all? Other than obviously what
yeah, like, I mean, I also, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, I also use it for like sharing my achievement. If I do any online courses or if I learn anything, then the certificate I have or get, I use it to like share it and share with like my networks.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's exactly what you should be using it for. And hopefully I can show you guys a few more tips to make those kind of pop a little bit more, if that makes sense. So yeah. So this is just the basics that you need in a profile. So the most essential things are your photo, headline, and your about section. So if we can go to the next slide, and I'll break those down for you. So the most common misconception on LinkedIn is that you need to have a professional headshot like this. Otherwise, you won't be viewed as substantial candidate for job roles or for networking. It's definitely not the case. You just need to pick a picture that is representative of yourself, that makes you give your best representation to the outside world. So I just took a few from people that I follow, that I'm connected with. So there's my friend Sophie, she's just got her picture of her in her graduation outfit. Then there's my friend George, who's just sat at the pub, but he's in a white shirt, he's happy. You kind of want to think of it as, what picture would my parents or my grandparents have on their fridge of me? That's what you want. You want it to be you happy, smiling, because it represents your authentic self, and that's what employers really want to buy into. So if you don't have a headshot and you want one, you can either go against a blank wall, or you can go to the website that I've popped down there, pfpmaker.com, and it will take a picture that you upload, it will cut you out, and then you can change the background to be the different colors. I think you can put backgrounds, so like San Francisco skyline or something like that. You just want to make sure that it's something that you're happy with, and something that you're happy for people to see, because that's their first impression of you. You want it to be representative of yourself. Next slide. So the headline. So there's two routes for the headline. You can either make it your job title and your degree, or you can make it about achievements and skills. So I've just taken a couple from people that I follow. So there's mine there that's about my degree title and also my job. But then we've got my friend at the top, Jake. He runs a startup. So he's got his role, and then he's also put "we're hiring." So that's another way that you can find jobs later on. I'll talk about that. You search for those sorts of things. But say you work for a company and they're hiring, you can put that in, and it just shows that you're embedded in the company, you're happy to promote them, and that's something that people really like to look out for. You've also got Jordan here, who's put Salesforce at Health Equity, and then YouTube Blogs Podcast. If you've got a YouTube channel or a blog and you really want to promote that, you can put that in. You could even put the URL. If you've got a big achievement, like here, it's a Linklaters 2019 essay competition finalist, definitely put that in there. All of the things that you put in your headline, again, it's the first impression that people have of you, but those keywords are used in searches, and it will bring you up to more people. So really make sure that your headline is representative of yourself, but also is what you want to be related to when you're being searched for. So say someone's just searching for a business development associate or University of Bath alumni. Do you want to be in that group search? If so, put it in your headline. And really you can just make it your own, but I would recommend going either of those two routes separately or combining them. So next slide. And then about me. Again, there's two different ways. So this is the way that you're making it bullet pointed. So the best way to do this for SEO is to get all your keywords in there. So here you can see, this is from a guy that I follow called Jordan Nelson. He has broken it down into different sections. He also has another section about businesses that he's been involved in. So here you're just kind of bullet pointing all your key skills, because again, this will come up in the searches. Say you put in that you are competent at Adobe Photoshop. If you put that in there under skills, when people search perhaps Photoshop, because they're a recruiter looking for someone that's sufficient in that, your profile will come up. If you've got lots and lots of skills and lots of stuff going on that you feel you can't fit into a short paragraph, this is definitely the way to go. And it's usually the way to go if you're interested in a job in technology, finance, stuff like that, because there's a lot of individual skills and qualifications that they like to look for. So if that's the kind of job you're going for, definitely do something like this. If not, on the next slide, we've got the other way that you can do it. So that's mine on the top, and then it's my friends on the bottom. It's kind of similar to a personal profile that you would have in your CV. So it's just summing up your personality, your work style, and again, hitting loads of keywords to optimize search engine analytics. If you don't put those keywords in there, then your profile's not going to pop up in searches. Your posts aren't going to be reposted onto people's home pages. So it's really important that you hit those keyword targets. And I'll talk about keywords in a little bit later on. So next page. So experience. It's really important with experience that you put as much information in as possible. So here, these are pretty short ones because the last time I changed this was for when I was applying for a job through LinkedIn. So what you want to do is get the key points of your role and bullet point them in a really easy, readable manner. People, especially recruiters, do not like reading through chunks and chunks of text. By putting it in bullet points and putting keywords again, you will get the most out of that. Especially as well, make sure that you can link to the company profile if they have it. Some don't have it, that's fine. But here, as you can see, when I work for Privacy International, they have their own LinkedIn page. Link through to that, because then when the people that work there are searched, you'll come up recommended, you can connect with them, you both become employees under that company. It's just another way to grow your network in a quicker and more efficient way. If you've got any relevant documents from when you were there, maybe you completed a course, or you posted a blog, or you did an interview, include those documents in there. There's a section when you're doing your experience, and you can include links. Include that there. Include pictures if you can. Anything to make it more easy on the eye. That's what people really engage in. So yeah, and make sure you adapt it when you're applying for roles. So if you've applied for something and they've asked for your LinkedIn, make sure that you're adapting those sections regularly so that it's not just the same for every application, because it's really, really important that you're highlighting those keywords so that people see it and they don't have to go searching for it or kind of figure out what you're trying to say with it. So here I just wanted you guys to take 5 minutes just to think of maybe your most recent role or a piece of experience you've had, and kind of break down some bullet points of keywords that you would like to promote, and if you had any documents or certificates that you would like to add to it. Yeah, so we'll just take 5 minutes for you guys to do that, and then we'll come back.
Hi Kate, can you hear me?
Yeah.
That's a quick question.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
For the personal profile, the two methods you talked about, either doing like bullet points or like a little short snappy paragraph.
Yeah.
Is there one that you'd recommend over the other? Because at the moment I use the paragraph one. It's like 3 lines, but I wasn't sure if one was more effective than the other.
Personally, when I've been looking through applications for interviews, I've opted and preferred the shorter paragraph, just because it's easier to read and it hits more keywords for me. But if you feel like the industry you're applying for, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, prefers that kind of bullet pointed style, and you feel like you can't fit everything you want to say about yourself in that short paragraph, I would recommend going for the bullet pointed. But 9 times out of 10, people tend to prefer the short paragraph style, so I would recommend that one.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Okay. It allows you to represent yourself in a better way than just shortly stating what you can do. But again, later, as I talk about industries, if you see that people in the industry are doing a certain thing, you may want to copy them because they're doing it, or you may want to choose this option and stand out a little bit more. It's entirely up to how you want to represent yourself. Don't do something just because everyone else is doing it. And that, again, is something I'll talk about later. Okay, so that's been about 3 minutes, so we shall move on. Next slide, please. Okay, so header image. This is something that is often overlooked. I don't know how many times you guys have been on profiles where they have just the blue waves on the header, but this again will help you stand out. So there's lots of different ways to do this. So I've opted to do 4 moments that I'm really proud of, or 4 moments from my past that I wanted to promote. So we've got me with the previous Lord Mayor of Sheffield at a protest that I had to attend for work. We've got me on my photo shoot of my EP, me at the university's BBC Any Questions events with David Lammy MP, and then me announcing that I was a challenge leader for a charity trek. We've got 2 examples here of business owners. So we've got my friend Jake, who is the CFO of a startup called How About, which is like an app that syncs all of your friends' calendars and finds a time when everyone's available. So he has opted to promote his business in the header. He's done a 3-phone picture to show his app and the different ways of the app. And then we've also got here Grace Beverly. I don't know if anyone follows her and her businesses, but she is a sustainable clothing wear. So she has made her header image pictures of her clothing. So there's lots of ways that you can do this if you're interested in running or photography, or you've got you love graphic design. Those are some ideas that you could do. You could do a picture of a hike. You could just put pictures that you're happy that promote you, or you could even put your favorite quote. I've seen people that have a quote up there. It just represents what their business ethic is, what their work ethic is. It's really up to you, but again, make sure that it's representing yourself. Don't put a quote up there that you think looks cool, but you don't really understand the meaning behind. or don't just put a random picture you found on the internet up. You really need to make that another representation of yourself, but make sure that you have one. I've put the dimensions in there. If you head over to canva.com, they have a specific section where you can make a LinkedIn header, has all the dimensions there for you. It has lots of additional things that you can do. So I just wanted you guys to maybe take a couple of minutes just to jot down some ideas for your header, so that then you can go to your LinkedIn after this and kind of put it in motion. So this is top tips for posts. So this is a post that we put up recently for Henley Business Angels, and I wanted to use this to demonstrate all the things that you should be doing in your posts. So you need to post about anything that's happening with you professionally, or extracurricular activities that you're doing that you really want to shout about. So say you were nominated for an award at university, that would be something to shout about. Even if you just did really well on an assignment, that is definitely something that you should post about, just so that you're posting regularly, you're updating regularly, because then you'll get onto more people's feeds, more people will find you. It's just the way that the algorithm works. So you should always, always, always include pictures and links. Again, that goes back to the easy reading for people. People are more likely to engage in posts that aren't just words. Make sure you're tagging all the relevant accounts. So here you can see that we've got almost everything that we can tagged. So we've got the company, we've got the uni, we've got the founder, we've got Henley Business Angels, we've got the newspaper, and we've got the author of the newspaper article. Anyone that you can tag them, because then it will come up on their notifications, they're more likely to engage with it, and it will also come up on the feeds of people that they are connected with. So when you're when you've posted a post and you've only got maybe 200 connections, but you see it's been seen by 1,000 people, that's because you're tagging other people in the post and it's being put onto their connections walls. Also make sure that you're adding relevant hashtags. 3 is the typical number to add. Any more than that, it looks a bit too much. Any fewer seems a bit pointless. So here we've just put relevant hashtags. You can make up your own hashtags, or you can see what hashtags are trending and then put those in, but make sure that they're relevant to the post. Always add a personal comment when you're sharing an article. You could be interested perhaps in economics, and you see a post from The Economist about Joe Biden raising the wages of federal employees to $15 an hour. You could share that article, but make sure you're adding a personal comment to show why you find that interesting, what you think is good or bad about that. Just so that you are tailoring your page to suit your interest, but also sharing your personal comment, because this will then encourage people to maybe comment a response, or use the celebrate emoji on the like bar. All of this builds engagement, and it builds the likelihood that LinkedIn will recommend your post to other people in the networking section. So just make sure you never just share an article. You always have to add a comment to it. If you don't have a comment to add, maybe just say, check this out, with some emojis. And I know there's a bit of temperamental behavior around emojis, but when I attended a social media marketing workshop held by a charity that I work with, they found that there is something like 15% increase in engagement when emojis are used. So I've popped a website down there called emojipedia.org. It has all the emojis that are in existence. So you just search for a relevant emoji and make sure that you're popping them in. They don't need to be everywhere. So here we've just put a little running man, or and a little star. It's just, again, to help the reader like breeze through it. It breaks up the blocks, and it just makes it more enjoyable to consume. So yeah, make sure you are always using relevant but sensible emojis. And then there's just a few other profile tips. So I don't know if you'll have seen at the bottom of your page, but in your skills section, it might say that you've been endorsed by some friends or colleagues for particular skills. Always go to your colleagues' pages and endorse skills that you know they're good at. If they were good at team management or leadership skills, go and endorse that, because then they will get a notification asking to endorse you. And by doing that, you're building up demonstration that you are good at these skills, and that's what employers really look out for when they're recruiting through LinkedIn. You can also take skills tests. So these are a little tricky. I just did the Microsoft Word one, and I thought it was going to be a lot easier than it was. I still got the little badge, but pardon me, I would just recommend not rushing into those ones. It's timed questions, there's multiple choice questions, and basically if you're in the top 30% of people that have taken the assessment, you'll get a little badge on your profile. They have it on a wide range of things. They've got it on all the Microsoft packages, so I'd recommend doing that, because that's a big thing that employers look out for. But they also have it on more specific things like programming languages, editing software. So if you think that you're really good at a particular program or application, go and take the test. That it has it on your profile. That's just another way to stand out. and also another way to connect with people, because you can see, oh, they have this skill, I have this skill, let's connect. They also have 2 extra sections here that are just on the side of your profile. So when you go to your profile, it will be just on this section here. So you can edit your URL. I would really recommend you do this. It just looks much more professional having your name, or sometimes I've seen people have their name and then a dash and where they work, because you can change it multiple times. It just looks a lot more professional than having a jumble of numbers, and it means that you can quickly send people your URL because you know it off by heart. And you can also add your profile in another language. If you're fluent in another language, or perhaps 2, add it in another language. I wouldn't recommend doing this if you don't speak fluently, because you have to translate the profile yourself. It just gives you the keyboard and translates certain things for you. But if you're fluent in Mandarin and you're going to be applying for lots of roles that would look for that, then definitely add that to your profile, add your profile in that language. It just, again, helps set you apart from other people that maybe just have the language down the bottom. Because it proves that you've taken the time to translate your profile into another language and shows that you're committed to that. So now we're going to talk about taking advantage of LinkedIn's opportunities. So your insights. This is your dashboard. So when you go into your profile, this is under your About Me section. So it has all of your search appearances. So this is mine from last week. So I appeared in searches 36 times. That's how many times my post were viewed, and that's how many people view my profile. So this is really important for a number of things. First, your search appearances. In your search appearances, you can see where the people that have searched you work, what their role is, and often you can see the keywords that were associated with that. So if you're interested in working in a certain industry and you see that you're coming up under the wrong keywords, say you really want to work in business analytics and you're coming up under customer service, that is an indication that you need to go to your About Me section and change all of your keywords. You need to go to your experience section and change your keywords. You can use this as a guide to see whether you're going onto the right searches and getting into the right people's profiles, timelines. You can also take a look at salary insights. So based on your experience and your work headline, it will tell you where people with similar roles, how much they're earning. This will help, say, if you're looking for a promotion, you can say, look, this is what other people in my industry are earning at this level. I'm not earning that. I would like some more money. Obviously, you would say it a lot nicer than that. But and you can also see it as a guide to where people that are doing better than you in terms of money, why. So you can see what similar profiles have. You can go to those profiles and you can see, oh, do they have this qualification? Do they have that qualification? And then make a list for yourself for what you need to do to elevate yourself to that level. It's also got a little section that you can keep track of jobs, courses, articles. We'll go on to LinkedIn courses in a second, but make sure if you see anything interesting for yourself that you save it with that little save button, because it means that you can come back to it and you're not going to lose track of it. A lot of stuff gets posted on LinkedIn. It's very easy to lose the things that you're interested in. So definitely make use of your dashboard. Yeah, next slide, please. Would anyone like to volunteer for a quick 1-minute exercise where I talk you through networking in a pandemic?
Yeah, I don't mind doing it if no one else does.
Okay, perfect. So do you have a particular industry or company that you're interested in working at?
I want to go into marketing.
Yeah, do you have any particular companies that you would be interested in marketing for in a dream world?
Probably like tech or sport related.
Okay, so let's say Tesla. That's techie. We'll say Tesla. So what you need to do is you need to search Tesla, the company, on LinkedIn. You want to find mid-level employees. You don't want to go for the high-level people, because they won't have a connect button. They'll just have a follow button. You want to find mid-level employees, people that are kind of in the bottom of the marketing department or mid-level. You want to shoot them a message and say, hey, I'm really interested in Tesla. Let's connect so we can share working practices. And 9 times out of 10, they will accept you. The only times they wouldn't accept you is if they're people that aren't using LinkedIn for its function. They just want to connect with people that they know. But 9 times out of 10, they'll be really happy to connect with you. And then in that way, you're building up your network of people that have the job that you want and are in the industry that you want to work in. By doing that, you can see what they share, you can see what groups they're in, and you can build your profile and yourself to match them. So then when you're going for jobs, you know that you're on the same level as someone that's already got that. As well, if a job ever came up for Tesla or the company that you've connected with, you can talk to them and be like, hey, why do you like working here? Or, hey, what do you think they're looking for? And the reason that people are so willing to talk to you is because they know that it's quid pro quo. Say you then get a job at a company that they're interested in, they will then want to do exactly the same back. So I know it seems scary sometimes just shooting out a message and saying, hey, let's connect, but people are really friendly on LinkedIn and they do want to help you. And that's the whole point. It is to network and to build up. So if you guys just want to take a couple of minutes to write down some industries and companies that you really want to work in or with, and then maybe later tonight, just go through, have a look, see if you can find some people and just send them a nice friendly message like, hey, let's connect so we can talk about working practice. Let's connect so we can get to know each other better. Stuff like that. That's the way that networking is now going, now that we can't meet up with people at events. So yeah, if you just want to take a couple of minutes to write down some ideas.
Can I share a quick random tip as well?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if you're interested in entrepreneurship or if you have a business or something, for a while I had, in my experience, there's like a job that's called entrepreneur on LinkedIn. I don't know if it's meant to be a company or just like state the industry, but I had like loads of people reach out to me that were other entrepreneurs. Obviously, they can click on that job and then see everyone that's technically employed by them. So if you're looking to connect with other people in that industry, that seems to be quite a good way to do it.
Yeah, really good idea. And we'll move on to stuff like that in a second. But it is about finding those types of groups, those types of pages, because people are all exactly in the same boat as you guys. They want to connect with people. They want to find networks. They want to find connections. So just do whatever you can to get those connections, essentially. Okay, so everyone's had a couple of minutes. Shall we move on? So networking itself, you want to start off with your base. You connect with your friends, colleagues, course mates, lecturers. I know it might sound scary to say to connect with lecturers, but they're really friendly. It's not like it's Facebook, it is professional. So definitely connect with anyone and everyone that you know, and that is your base. Then, like I said, work upwards towards industries and companies you're interested in. If you go onto your network page, you'll have lots of suggestions from the same universities, the same industries. Find people strategically that you think would be a benefit to your network and connect with them. If you want to shoot them a message, shoot them a message. It's always nice to do that if you don't know them. But yeah, connect. And then engage. If they're posting about an achievement, celebrate it, comment congratulations. It's like when you're on Instagram and someone likes your picture, you always remember that that person has engaged with your stuff. It's the same on LinkedIn. If someone's celebrating your achievements, you want to help them, you want to celebrate their achievements too. So make sure that you're engaging with your connections posts. And make sure you're joining groups. So if you go onto your profile, in the top right hand corner there's a little like square box that says work. If you click that and go onto groups and then go to requested, you can find loads of groups. This is a section that not many people know about or they don't utilize enough. So you can join up to 50 groups. I've seen people recommend you join 45 and leave 5 for spare. I've seen people recommend you join 25 and have 25 for spare, but just join as many that are relevant to you. There's ones that are called like leadership think tank. There's ones on environmental energy, environmental policy. There's ones on financial policy. There's a huge range of groups and they have hundreds of thousands of followers. And once you're in there, you can meet people in there. You can comment on posts, you can engage, you can post long like threads and people can comment and debate on it. It's just another really good way to find people. So in the discover section, you can find a lot, but also keywords like there's always young professionals of and in the industry. So if you just search that, a group will come up. There's always an alumni group that you can join. There's marketing groups that you can join. Honestly, so many groups. I recommend joining a lot. It can take a few days for your request to be approved. It's just because the admins are busy. But once you're in there, make sure you're engaging because you don't want to be someone that's just passive in there. You want to be making sure that people know who you are so that you can connect with them and build your network. Another way is to follow hashtags. So I think I follow things like gender, environment, marketing, stuff like that. It's just to bring content onto your page. The more content that's on your page, the more you can engage with it, the more that you can share and add your own comments. And again, this just tailors your profile to your interests, to what you're about. And that's what employers and recruiters really want to see. They want to see you on a page basically, and it's much more engaging than your CV because on your CV you can't say, well, I'm really interested in this news story that just came out for this reason, whereas on your LinkedIn you can, and that's really exciting to employers and recruiters because they get a better sense of who you are. And I've said here, accept everyone but invite strategically, and what I mean by that is unless it's someone that you think is a fake account, accept everyone that's asking to connect with you. It builds your network, and also it could be someone that you didn't expect, and it can change, like have such a an impactful relationship that you don't expect, you didn't know it was coming. And by invite strategically, I mean, don't just invite someone because they went to the same university as you. Invite someone because they went to the same university as you, but they're in a job that you would like to be in. So make sure that you're inviting someone that can be of benefit to your network. You don't want to have 500 plus connections, but none of them are relevant, if that makes sense. So that's what I mean by that. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is LinkedIn Learning. I don't know if any of you have seen this, but I would really recommend it. So there's over 16,000 courses. You get a certificate on completion, and the certificate, again, is another way that you can post and say, hey, look what I've done with my free time. The good thing about this is that you're going to get a month free. What I would really recommend doing is going onto it. So again, it's accessible by the little workbox on the right-hand side of your profile. It says learning. Go on there, have a look at what courses are available, save the courses with the little saved icon, and then when you have a month that you can really utilize that, perhaps it's after all your deadlines have gone, after you've submitted your dissertation, go in, start your free month and start the courses. The last thing you want to do is start your free month and not be able to use it because you suddenly became overwhelmed with university work. You want to do it when you're going to get the most out of it. So I really recommend doing that. They have so much stuff. There's some examples there: crisis communication, writing a press release. They've got some understanding of financial markets, stuff like that. It's a really good way to do it. And not many people know this or utilize it enough. So it's definitely something that's going to set you apart. It also shows your commitment to learning to employers. It's showing that you're going out of your way to do more learning, to improve yourself. And employers and recruiters really like that. I've also added a link down the bottom there. So Harvard, in America, they offer a load of online free courses, things from neuroscience to there you've got introduction to artificial intelligence with Python. It tells you how long the course is. It's all free. Again, you get a certificate at the end of it, and you can say that you did a course at Harvard University. So I really would recommend taking a look at those, seeing what they have to offer, and sitting down and completing them when you can. Next slide, please. And then employment. So guessing you can use LinkedIn to get recruited. It's a research tool for interviews. If you're looking at a company that you're perhaps interviewing for, you can see what their presence is like. You can see what their interests lie in, who works there, perhaps see what those people have got. If they've got a particular course or skill that you don't have, that's something that you can work on, or you can mention that in your interview as something that perhaps is a weakness. I know that's a question that people always worry about. If you see that they have a skill that's kind of non-essential but you would like to have, you can say that's your weakness. Say, I'm not very good in this, but I'm improving by doing this. Like I mentioned earlier, you can also use it to gain promotions by either seeing what people are earning and saying to your boss, I think I'm worth this, or seeing people are earning better in a different company and going there instead and applying for a job there. You can also have personal recommendations. So people can essentially, your referees on your CV can essentially write recommendations on your profile, really short, snappy, but then it's another way that recruiters can see that you're recommended by professional people and you're not just a facade or all for show. Also, I would recommend not using this photo frame. It's become quite popular since the pandemic started on LinkedIn. But I've read a few articles from recruiters and employers that say that they just find it, not for lack of a better word, they think it looks desperate. That sounds really harsh, but you want to make yourself look as good as possible. If you're open for work and seeking new opportunities, pop it in your headline or in your About Me section. Don't do this, because as well, when I was scrolling down my network the other day, I saw about 15 people with this on their profile. You don't want to be looking the same as everyone else's profile. You want to stand out. So I would avoid this. And if you're looking for work, pop it in your headline or in your About Me section. Yeah, so this is just my summary of top tips. So make sure you're updating it regularly, sharing articles, posting achievements, whatever it is. Accept everyone but invite strategically. Recommend others and get recommendations in return. So that's both endorsing colleagues or friends' skills and also writing short recommendations for their profiles. Make sure your profile is authentic and it makes you look approachable. You don't want to put that you speak Japanese if you don't. Just make sure that you are being genuine, because you will get caught out otherwise. Make sure you're using keywords. If an industry looks for particular skills or keywords on similar profiles, make sure that they're in your profile so that you can optimize that search engine, and when they're looking for those skills, you will come up. Spotlight the services you offer. So if you can code in a certain language, make sure you're promoting that. Make sure that's front and center in your About section, because again, that's what people are really looking for. Utilize LinkedIn's features. So that's either with adding it in a different language, changing your URL, adding a header, doing LinkedIn Learning, anything to utilize their features that I've mentioned will make you stand out a lot more, and it will make your profile much better. In groups, make sure you're publishing long form content, or if you don't want to publish that, make sure you're starting conversations and comments. Any way to engage with the people on there so that people know who you are, and you can make connections that way. Make sure all your contact information is available. There was nothing more frustrating when I was conducting one of my research projects than finding someone that was perfect, that we needed to connect with, but they didn't have their contact information there. So make sure that your email address is on there. You can make it private so only your connections can see it, but make sure that that is there. And then finally, just make a header, headline, about section and profile picture that stand out and represent you. Make sure you are representing your best self, and you can't go wrong, really. And yeah, that's it. If anyone has any questions, I think there's a couple in the chat. Let's have a look. So your dashboard on LinkedIn is, if you go onto your profile, I don't know if it's there on mobile, but it's definitely on desktop. If you go onto your profile, under your About Me section, or if you don't have an About Me section, under your profile picture and headline, it will just be there. It might look slightly different to mine depending on how many searches you've been in, but it will be there. Is it a good idea to attach your LinkedIn profile in your Facebook or Instagram bio? If you think that people will react to that well, so if you think that there's people that are following your Instagram or friends with you on Facebook that would like to engage with your LinkedIn, definitely do. But I would recommend, rather than your Facebook and Instagram bio, maybe attaching it to a signature on your email. It is a professional networking site, so you don't want to have too much of a crossover with other like social media. But yeah, it's up to you. If you think that your friends would react well to that, then go for it. Any other questions?
Hi, Kate. I just have one question.
Sure.
I'm just wondering, is the LinkedIn Premium beneficial for us to find more jobs? Would you recommend getting a premium instead of just normal LinkedIn?
So it depends what your financial situation is looking like. If you think you can easily spend the money, then go for it. What I would recommend is trying the month free trial, seeing if it makes any difference to you. Personally, LinkedIn Professional only works if you're a recruiter, because that is what all the features are adapted for. It's for people finding people for jobs rather than people looking for jobs. You can definitely utilize LinkedIn to the max on the free version. You don't need to necessarily pay for the premium. But if you're interested in it, then try the 3-month trial, see if it's worth it for you. If not, not worth it at all.
All right. Thank you, Kate.
It's okay.
Yeah, I had also another question. So you mentioned about like startups, like some of your friends had a startup. Would you recommend to have a separate LinkedIn account for the startup or promote it on your personal one?
So I wouldn't recommend having separate things. You can have a company page for the startup. Would definitely recommend that is dedicated to the startup, but you are the startup. You want yourself to be embedded as much with it as you can be. So my friend Jake, with his everything was on his personal profile, except they had a company page that was purely company, but they wanted to share achievements. So they had a problem. It was originally called Zing, which there was a similar name in the American app market, and they had to change it to How About instead. That wasn't something that they shared on their company page, but it was like a funny anecdote that he shared on his personal page, and it was still about the startup. So don't make a separate page entirely for the startup unless you want to make a company page, which is similar to like a Facebook page for a company. But make sure that you're sharing anything about the startup. It's exciting. It's what people want to see on your profile. So yeah, post about it on your personal profile for sure.
Okay, and also for a company page, what would you recommend? What kind of content would be relevant to post there?
For a company page, depending on what the company is, you would want to make sure that you have an appropriate logo, and then content, you want to post about any news articles that are relevant. You want to post about any achievements that's happening in the company. Perhaps you just got a patent agreed or something like that. You want to post about that. You want to post about maybe 2 to 3 times a week just to keep engagement up, but make sure it's relevant to the startup. A really good way to do that is just by sharing relevant news articles. So say it was a startup to do with something to do with climate, sharing articles on perhaps the UK's climate, whatever it's called, climate board, or the discussion that's coming up soon, sharing about that, sharing about maybe UN charters, stuff like that. All of that is very relevant. So that's definitely something to do if you're stuck for content. Other than that, maybe if you go onto Canva, can't recommend this website enough. They have lots of templates for social media posts. You can go on there, perhaps make a little reminder, like say you had an event that you were running, you could make a little reminder event post about the event and stick it on there. Yeah, that sort of content is really good. So 2 to 3 times a week is the best way to just keep engagement slowly growing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I created a food shop heading Reading, looking for graduate jobs in. I think a header is absolutely fine because it's different. It's not something that everyone else is doing. It depends what it looks like. If you think it looks tacky, then definitely change it. But if you think it looks good and it shows that you're looking to promote yourself differently to everyone else, then definitely post it. You can always post it, and then if you think it's not working, you can change it. That's the beauty of LinkedIn, is that it's very adaptable to different approaches.
All right, friends, don't be shy. If you have any other questions to ask Kate, go ahead. Well, I have a question for you, actually.
Sure.
So, you know, when you had mentioned the header ideas and everything, and that we should write down different things that we have to put in, what would you recommend to someone when they have quite a few different options? Like, how should you choose or prioritize what you want to put out?
I think it really depends on how you want to be perceived by recruiters and employers. So what do you mind sharing what your options were, or?
Of course. So, well, obviously my studies, because I'm still studying, the society, the fact that I've started a bit of a new project that has to do with travel and tourism, and then also the thing is that I'm applying for a social innovation master's, so it's more on sustainability and such, which I'm very interested in. However, I do not have, except for work experience, I do not have something more present to show them. So, you know, out of certain things, I don't know, like except volunteer work or Depop, I don't, I'm not quite sure what to put up as my header.
So I recommend personally putting up Reading Entrepreneurship Society logo as your header, because you're involved in that. It gives a very good impression that that's what you're involved in. And then the other items, you can use articles or posts. You don't even need to share an article. Perhaps something's happened and you're interested in talking about it. Use those as posts, because that's the way that you're going to get across that you're involved in that and you're interested in that. But Reading Entrepreneurship Society as your header is definitely the way to go, I think.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Anybody else?
A blog to have a LinkedIn page? I don't think so, because it's tied so personally with you. I think you can just promote it through your own LinkedIn, and then perhaps you could have the blog logo or the blog URL as your heading, as your header image. Yeah, I think mainly only companies and organizations work well as a LinkedIn page format. Yeah.
Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, I'm not sure if you can see my screen correctly now. I don't know what you're seeing, but if you want, we can proceed to the fireside chat, which is more open for discussion. So I highly recommend you open your mics at the least so we can talk about any topics on LinkedIn and, you know, promoting yourself on social media for careers and educational opportunities. If anyone wants to, honestly, it's open to anything.
How about I suggest something? I don't mind which platform you put it on, but how about forming a group and sharing your LinkedIn pages so we can see and you can be proud of what you've created, and open up or invite others to suggest how you might add to your LinkedIn page.
That's a wonderful idea. We should definitely do that as a society, and all the members can join in. Maybe on Facebook or Discord, since we've already opened that up now. anyone wants to input.
Or create a WeChat group. I don't know. There's lots of whichever platform you prefer, whichever platform you use and communicate on.
Yeah.
No, that is a good idea. Because sometimes you want to post something and you think it looks really good, and then someone else might say, "Oh, I think you should change the wording a bit." So yeah, I think that's a really good idea.
A sort of support group for LinkedIn and such. That's a good idea.
I just want to thank Kate for joining today in her presentation. I'm sure that's on your list of things to do, Alexia, at the end, but I just wanted to say thank you so much, Kate. That really was inspiring. It left me with a number of ideas. And I don't mean just changing my photograph that's probably 20 years out of date. I just like the photographs.
Yeah, if you that's the most important thing. You have to like the photo that people are seeing the most. If it's a picture you don't like, it's going to reflect bad things. What's that quote from the Twits? If you're sad, it reflects on your face or something.
Absolutely, so it does. Be happy. Sure, absolutely, be happy. I justify it on the basis that I had grey hair then and I have grey hair now. I have to disappear, but can I just once again say a big thank you to Kate. Take on board the tips. I thought those tips were really, really excellent. It's the best insight and view of LinkedIn and how you can use LinkedIn that I've heard, and the top tips that you can apply. And just wish everybody happy job search, happy connecting, happy networking, and be successful and stay positive. So thank you again. Well done to everybody. Alexia, for you hosting. Don't forget to put that into your LinkedIn message now. Absolutely delighted and thrilled to have hosted this event, and show some photographs because you're recording, so take a snippet in there, include that, the photographs, whatever, hashtags, all the things that Kate talked about.
Yes, thank you.
And
thank you so much.
to Karen and Sarah again for everything that they've done in bringing this event about, and my best wishes to everyone.